Hello to the cast and crew of The Matchmaker. At the cast party at the Boneyard, as I was moving about and socializing, some of you asked if I was going to make a closing speech. And I think we all laughed because the Boneyard was quite an active atmosphere that night and was not really the place to give a closing speech. Or maybe you were being sarcastic and hoping I wouldn't give one. I don't know. I'm going to give one now. My life has finally calmed down and I have a moment. The nice thing about this is if you don't want to sit through it, you can stop this video and I will never know. but um, uh, I do want to say a few things, and for those who want to hear it, just make sure you have however much time this video is to watch it. Obviously, first of all, thank you. And I know I said that many times because there were so many times during rehearsals where even just the rehearsals were exciting and fun and encouraging. But then even once the show was fully dressed and fully staged and audiences were there laughing, you guys all did such a wonderful job. Thank you. And I will probably say that again at the end. I want to start by actually telling you my history of involvement with the Matchmaker because I believe it is a big compliment to you. I believe it's a big pat on the back of everyone who helped make this show come to life, to know it, to know this story. The Matchmaker. Well, I was on the play selection committee for 5 years, and the very first year I was on it, they did choose the play that I was really pushing that year, The School for Scandal. And then every year after that, I would submit 2 or 3 plays that I've really wanted to direct with adults for a long time. And every year they got shot down. So year after year, my desire to direct and direct something that I really wanted to direct was kind of getting thwarted. And my 5th year was the year that they were planning the 40th season, the one that you were all just involved with. And I was really starting to get the itch to direct. And so I submitted 7 plays, just to, I mean, I would have gladly directed any of them, but I submitted all 7 just to increase my odds, just to really flood them so that they'd pick one of them. And and I put that list of 7 together, and I was looking through my bookshelf, and I saw my book of 3 plays by Thornton Wilder. And I remember the Matchmaker. I remember reading it. I didn't even stop to read it at that point and remind myself. I just knew that it would be fairly enjoyable. And so I put that in the pile. It was my 8th choice out of 8. If somebody asked me which one I wanted to direct, I had a number 1, I had a number 2, and the Matchmaker was number 8. I didn't have any particular passion for that play. It just wasn't on the list of plays I didn't want to direct. So I threw it in there to increase my odds. And over the course of October, November, December, as we kept meeting every Monday, I would lobby for my favorite plays. And it's right here. It's a great play. This is why you should do it. You got a director right here, so you don't have to find one. I guarantee you, he's a director who's passionate about play X, play Y. And week after week, one by one, over those 3 or 4 months, they'd vote them down for various reasons. Well, that one's out. A couple weeks later, that one's out. And the Matchmaker was actually not the last one to go, but eventually, in late January, in one of our meetings in late January, they voted out the last of all 8 plays. I now had no play that I submitted on the list at all. And that was so depressing to me because, every year I'd submit these plays and I'd get my hopes up and I'd get excited, and then they'd vote them down. And so this was now the 4th year of this wave of enthusiasm and disappointment. And I was just feeling kind of drained about that. I actually emailed the play selection committee chair and I told this person, I'm resigning from the committee. I don't have it in me to keep coming every Monday and plan yet another season for everyone else to direct, and nothing for me. And so I resigned. A couple of weeks later, I got an email saying that they had put the Matchmaker actually back in because what they didn't have was a good classic American comedy kind of thing. They had a lot of British choices. Most of my favorites are British. I have no problem with British, but for some reason, every time we put on a British play at CTC, they get emails from people saying, "Why do you put on so many British plays?" Anyway, so she put the Matchmaker back in, and I think I was supposed to take that as good news. But all of my favorites had been shot down, and the one play that I really had zero emotional investment in, again, I wasn't opposed to it, I just didn't have emotional passion for, was the one that got picked. And then it actually ended up on the season a little bit later. Now, so she put the play back on. Hold that thought. That was right about the time that, as I told most of you, I think you were almost all there at the cast meeting where I told you that Matchmaker would be my last play. I wanted to go make a film. That was around about the very same time that I came to that conclusion. February 13th was the night that I realized what I wanted to do in life. And so I thought, well, this all times out. I want to go make a movie. They're not picking any play I want to do. I was one day away from emailing the play selection committee and saying, do what you want with the Matchmaker. I'm bowing out of directing it. I am withdrawing my name as a candidate to direct. But before I could actually sit down and write that email, my thought went to my kids. My kids have enjoyed coming to, a couple of plays. They've been old enough now to come see a couple of Daddy's plays, and they always enjoy it. The play I had done just before that was And Then There Were None. In fact, I was directing And Then There Were None. This all happened right here in January, February of 2018. I was directing And Then There Were None. Again, that was another play where I didn't have any given passion for that particular script. I had never submitted it to direct and probably never would. But I did enjoy the play, and so I was already directing that. That scratched that itch. And so as far as I was concerned, they could take the Matchmaker and throw it out, because all that would have done was scratch the itch. That's the only reason I put it on the list. And some of you were in And Then There Were None, so I would like to point out that I had a tremendous lot of fun creating And Then There Were None. I am not at all saying I didn't really care about that experience. What happened to the Matchmaker is kind of what happened to And Then There Were None. So stick with me here and don't take any of what I just said as a personal insult. So yes, because of my kids, that my daughters weren't old enough to go see And Then There Were None. My son saw it and he liked it, but my girls were 8 and 5. I was not going to bring them to a play about 10 people dying and the last one being hanged right there in full view of the audience. So I thought, I want my last play. If I'm going to put on one last play, I want it to be something my whole family can come to. I want it to be something my son and daughters can come see, rather than just move on and make this movie. So I thought, okay, I will do the Matchmaker, and I will do it for my kids. And then I will go on to make my movie. So I followed through. I didn't tell anyone at the theater any of this. They're welcome to watch this video, by the way, if anybody stumbles across it. I went through, we got all set up. We had the auditions. Obviously, most of you were there. I think one of you got in this play without auditioning. And I knew going into auditions that I would have a good time. It's kind of one of those things where, okay, I'll go do this. And I know once I get there, I'll have fun. And we had the auditions, had a lot of fun meeting new people and seeing familiar faces, and having the opening cast meeting, December 16th or whatever night that was, where you were all there. I love plays with big casts, and so I just, seeing 16 people or close to it sitting in the hall as we, or in the auditorium as we had our first cast meeting. And then 3 people dropped out, one by one. And about the time that the third, including 2 of my leads, my 2 leads, not 2 of my leads, my 2 leads, I reached a point, so yeah, 3 people dropped out of a play that I had no emotional investment in at that point anyway. Had no passion for, I should say. It was not a passion project of mine. It was not one I had been dying to direct, ever. I knew, I could feel it. If a 4th person dropped out, I would be calling the theater, telling them they needed to find another director. I didn't have the energy, I didn't have the time to put up with that kind of stress. For some play that I was dying to direct, in fact, for the School for Scandal, anyone who was in it or involved with it, I think that was just Jason Jones from this cast, will tell you that getting a cast of 25 people to do it at all was a pain. And that thing was so riddled with difficulties. But I love that play, so I pushed forward. This was not a play I was ready to push forward on if I couldn't get people to cooperate. So, yeah, so that was kind of the second time I was right there, one step away from saying, never mind. Things started to look up. Catherine Gallan had perhaps the most enthusiastic email response I've ever had to somebody being cast, especially to somebody being cast as a second choice. And the fact that she was willing to drop everything and drive straight on up from California was an encouraging moment. Re-auditioned Mark, gave him more audition time and worked him out as Horace, so that was encouraging. So things started to look up a little bit. And then we started actually rehearsing. And from the very first rehearsal with the full cast, it was fun. And I knew it would be, but it really got to be a lot of fun. And day after day, we saw a little bit more of the play come together, and people start to inhabit their characters more and try stuff out and bring to life the things that were in my head. And it grew on me. And I know this has been a long story, but to make a long story shorter than it would be, by the time I was able to sit and watch a performance, by the time I was able to go hands off and say, you guys know what you're doing, I'm going to go watch this, and I sat through an entire show, by that point, or at that point, somewhere in there, I mentally acknowledged I was so happy that I never dropped out. Because it was a beautiful thing. It was fun. It was hilarious. You guys heard the laughter from the stage and backstage. It was enjoyed by 11 audiences immensely. I loved being able to sit in the director's chair and watch my kids. I could see the back of their heads, and I could see them laughing hard and having a good time. They all laughed at different things. My son is he picks up very quickly on verbal wordplay and wit. And then my daughters loved all of this, the visual stuff that we threw in, the sight gags and the pratfalls. And to this day, my middle child, Abigail, loves Gertrude's walk. You know, they all picked up on little things that they loved. So I credit that to all of you. I credit my final love of the play to all of you. I had so much fun from January 1st on through February 14th, working with you guys, seeing you pick up on what I was going for and running with it. And not just picking up on it, but picking up on it fast. There really was no labor in this one to get somebody in the cast to get it. Which is good, because Dolly and Horace and Cornelius and Barnaby and Irene and Minnie Fay especially, the 6 leading characters especially, if I had to stop with any of them with another actor who just didn't get it, who had to be pulled along the whole way, it would have been exhausting. Nobody in the cast was like that. Nobody made me pull them along. Yeah. And the way you guys interacted and created chemistry between each other and dynamic and the farcical speed. And then to see it all costumed and on that set with all the little decorations and all the stuff and the lights and sound, and to have it all come together. I credit my final appreciation for and love for this play to you guys. You guys brought a smile to my face. Way more than a year before that, the script itself brought a smile to my face. So thank you all very much. So much fun. So much fun meeting new people. Catherine and Owen and I'm Ray, and I would be careful. the McConnells. If I try to list them all, I'll forget somebody and somebody will be insulted. From meeting new people to working with old friends like Caleb, and to working with people I knew but I had never gotten to work with before, like Catherine and Elise, and everybody else. I'm not leaving you out on purpose. I'm sorry. I'm going to start rambling here. And the way everybody picked up on little things to do. Of course, Wilma was assigned stage manager, but boy, you really took that on. And then Cindy joining in. I don't know if any of you had the chance to go stage left and see, and watch them. But the way Mike and Jason just basically became the waiters. The backstage left was like their kitchen. They were back there folding napkins and making sure that everything was exactly the way they wanted it. Everybody picked up on things. I'm sure some of you picked up on things and made things your own. You took ownership of things I didn't even notice because my home wasn't backstage. My home was out watching it as a director. It was a beautiful thing. Thank you for trusting me. I know every once in a while I would say, here, can you do this on that line? And, various cast members would give me a look like, really? You want me to do that? But you trusted me and you went with it. It was a good show. It was a very good show. I'm very proud. I'm very proud to have The Matchmaker, that production of The Matchmaker, on my personal on resume. You guys and everything you did, that whole production, I consider a trophy in my trophy case. And again, it's because of you guys. I could probably say more. I've probably said enough. In the spirit of the play, there is no more Ghirardelli. There is no more Three Musketeers. But I want you to know this was special. Thank you. What a great idea. I love it. Catherine, we need to talk about the way your lipstick is smearing, though. So the next time you think about kissing a book that you've autographed. No, but loads of fun there. This will find a prominent spot on my wall, which is filling up fast, actually. This is probably, for the sake of my office decorations, this might be a good thing that it was my last play. I confess I have not started this yet. I actually have a couple books on my bookshelf that I was given for Christmas over a year ago that I haven't read yet, so I'm going to read those first. But I will get to that. If you'd like a book report when I'm done, let me know. Okay, that was special. It really was special. Yeah, the thing about a play is you create a little family for a short period of time, and then that family goes away, and you never get the same family twice. You never do. So thank you all. Thank you all for a very special 3 months of my life. 2.5. And I hope to see you all again, find some reason to work with you again. I'm sure I'll send out email blasts when I'm ready to do either a short film or one of the readings of one of my scripts, or even when I'm ready to produce a feature film. If I feel like you fit a part even remotely and I'd like you to come read for it, I'll let you know. I think that's it. I think that's good. Any more and it'll fizzle out. Thank you all very much for bringing The Matchmaker to life.